Oh, God. Greetings. This is Sam McNabb, your co-host of Chicago Coaches Corner. And I want to welcome all of our viewers to the new podcast that we're doing tonight. It's going to be a great show that we're featuring. We're going to have our guests, the NFL moms, join us tonight, and we're going to talk exclusively about the informative ways and the exciting ways that they have ventured through their lives of being moms for these great NFL players that we watch on Sundays. But before we get started, as always, I'd like to introduce my team to you. And our first co-host that's going to be working with us is Coach Jesse Chick. He's a renowned football coach from Simeon High School. He's coached over 30 years at Simeon. He's also been inducted into the Hall of Fame by the IHSA board and the Chicago Public Schools Coaches Alliance. So not only that, but Coach Chick has served as a chaplain at the College of DuPage for a number of years. And we're excited about Coach Chick because he comes in with so much knowledge and wisdom about mentoring and coaching. And so just want him to have a chance to speak to you guys and say hello to you. So Coach Chick.
Well, good evening to everybody. And as I forestated to the ladies that's with us tonight, it's an honor and a pleasure to have them with us and to go forth, because one thing we do know, hey, when you get understanding and you get knowledge, you can truly walk out and do some great things. And I know they're going to extend some great knowledge tonight. So I'm looking forward to it. So I'm going to sit back and let's enjoy it. Back to you.
Thank you, Coach. And our second co-host, we alluded to the fact that he's an inspiration to us all. He's the youngest of the group, and he's also a high school coach as we speak today. And not only that, but he's an entrepreneur. He's a peer mentor, and he does a multitude of things. He's also an established author, and he's got his own Chicago podcast. And I want to introduce you to him tonight is Coach Kenneth Jennings. Coach, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm looking forward to a wonderful show. Looking forward to having a wonderful conversation with some wonderful young ladies that's going to inspire us all and give us some knowledge on what it takes to have a young man that gets to that level of playing football.
Well, great. I'm glad to hear that. And then last but not least is our resident doctor. And that's none other than Dr. Thomas E. Reed. He is a renowned basketball coach for many years. He's also a Hall of Famer, and he's spent extensive time at the College of DuPage as an athletic director, along with a number of other places, colleges that he's coached at. And he's an author as well, has a book out as we speak. And I'm going to let him say hello to you guys as well. Coach Reed.
Good afternoon, ladies, and thank you for joining the Chicago Coaches Corner podcast. Really looking forward to getting feedback from your experience as mothers of these elite athletes that you have, and just very looking forward to the show as well. And again, thank you, ladies, for joining us.
All right, and so with no further ado, we're going to introduce our guests. We have three great moms that I know personally, and I know that they have quite a story to tell about their adventures and their journeys in raising their sons to become great men, and also to now experience them having great careers after football. The first mom I'm going to introduce to you, her name is Miss Connie Davis. Her son is Anthony Spice Adams. He played for the Chicago Bears for a number of years, and now Anthony is doing his own thing on YouTube, and he's quite hilarious what he's doing. So she'll tell you, I'm sure, more about that as we go. But Connie, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great, and thanks for having me. And I appreciate the introduction from all four of you guys, and it's an honor to be on your show.
Well, we won't have it any other way. We love you for coming on. Our next guest is none other than Mrs. Michele Green. Her son is Bryant McKinney, and he played for a number of years for the Minnesota Vikings. He's a defensive tackle as well. And He's
Offense. What's the problem?
Left tackle, Sam. Left tackle.
What's the problem?
I'm having a mental moment, but
Yeah, he was their bodyguard. He was the quarterback's bodyguard for 12
That's
years.
right.
the left tackle, right? Yeah. And so the Minnesota Vikings. But one good thing about it is Brian also played in the Super Bowl for the Baltimore Ravens. And so we've got a little Super Bowler mom that's with us as well tonight. So that's going to be interesting to talk about. So how you doing, Michelle? I appreciate you coming on. How you doing, Michelle?
Hi, listen, I'm wonderful, and thank you again, Sam, for contacting me. Like Connie said, this is an honor and a pleasure to be here. So I'm just grateful that I was able to. I do have to leave early because I have another meeting at 7:30. But you know, I'm here for whatever you want. I'm here for you. But thanks for inviting me.
Oh, absolutely. I'm glad you were able to come in for whatever time you can give us. But last but not least is one that's kind of near and dear to my heart. Of course, that's my, some say better half. I said she is the most important half. And that is none other than Mrs. Wilma McNabb. She's the son, she's a mother of that guy named Donovan McNabb. And so I want to introduce you to her as well. Wilma, how you doing this evening?
I'm good. Thank you. I appreciate everybody. I'm really happy to be here as well as Connie and Michelle are. And you guys have such a wealth of knowledge. Your show is better than good. It really is. And more people need to tune in to hear each of you and your wealth of knowledge that you have. So I'm very proud of you. You all are doing a great job. You've been in this for a little while, Coach Chick and Sam and Thomas, and I'm just really happy for Kenneth, for you all to come in and join and help out. So I'm happy. I'm very happy and proud. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay. So with that being said, so that we don't waste any more time introducing and all that good stuff, let's get right to it. I just want to ask a quick question to the moms, and that's always something that I've always wanted to know how you guys felt when that moment came when your son did something exciting or intriguing on the football field, and the camera was on him, and the first thing that came out of their mouth is, "Hi, Mom." And these grown, big old men calling back and saying, "Hi, Mom." So how do you guys feel about that? Each one of you can take a chance at that. Connie, you go first.
Well, we're gonna let Michelle go first so she can do her time and lead Sam.
Okay. All right, that sounds good.
All right.
Okay, so I never had that moment. He never said hi, Mom. He would, Connie, what'd he do? He did not, like, that's it. Our time was after the game was over, while he was on a bus. Then we would recap the game and talk about it, because he knew that I was there watching. I watched him for the first couple. I'm gonna say first couple maybe, and after that I'm into the game period. Like, because I'm like, he got it, so I ain't gotta worry about it. He got it, so I was good. I was into the game.
Now I want to hear what Mrs. McNabb have to say, and then Connie, I come back to you because I know what Mrs. McNabb was doing at the game. So
Well,
how you?
What?
Crying, seeing was she crying?
I knew who had it and who didn't have it. And if any of you offensive linemen wouldn't take care of my child, you know, it's like it was your fault when he got sacked. It really was. Or when he got.
Wait. As a left tackle, let me just say this. Don't forget, now the running back, when they line up on that line, they supposed to chip. But sometimes they don't chip because they want to get stacked. So let's keep that clear too, okay?
Who don't chip? The running back don't chip?
The running back is supposed to chip, yes.
Okay, so
when he lines up, yes, he don't because he wants stacked.
It's his fault that my child got sacked. It's his fault. It's the running back's fault that my child got sacked, huh? And not the tackle, not the offensive line.
Not always. I ain't gonna say all the time, but
okay. Just sometimes. Okay.
I love it.
Okay.
Well, if y'all kept y'all boys off of my boy, then he can get a sack.
No,
y'all kept them three offensive linemen off of my son, he could have had more sacks.
I over here. Not over here. Okay.
He wasn't coming through Brian, right? Right, Michelle? He wasn't
He
coming
said
that
he
way.
allegedly tries to. Allegedly tries to.
Right.
Well, we could definitely see what was going on in the stands with the mother. It'd be a pleasure to see when you guys when your kids
Well,
put stuff
okay,
together.
Star. When we played the Eagles the first time, I think.
Yeah.
The second time we couldn't sit together because they was getting mad because
Right.
I was getting mad because we was in the Vikings, and they were like, and my sister who was there on the Viking side cheering for the Eagles. I was
Let me explain a little thing. Michelle lives in the Philadelphia area. That's where Brian came from. They live in New Jersey. So they grew up with the Eagles. And then her son got drafted into the Vikings. So of course she was going to be a Vikings fan, but her sister is a Vikings fan. But we were in the playoffs, I think. And we were playing at the Viking Stadium. I mean, this was for the Super Bowl.
Right.
So, Michelle, she just mean and evil all the time. And so I don't think Cheryl was cheering for the Eagles. She was cheering for her nephew. But Michelle will fight people in the stand. You really have to be careful with her. And the people want to fight, then you gotta help. Then you gotta help her.
Lord,
yeah.
All right.
Okay, Connie. So you got a chance to talk about Anthony could have had more sacks if the lineman on the other side had been more cooperative. Huh?
Yeah, because Anthony he played defensive tackle, but he's still not that tall. Okay, but they would have like 3 or 4 guys on him every play. And that was just crazy. I mean, he
got
quick.
Put him in the boxes. Got to put him in the box. Okay.
Did he get in the box?
Stay off of him. And he could have got more sacks.
I thank you guys for answering my question. I'm going to open up to the rest of my co-hosts to give them a chance to ask you a question as well, so we keep it moving. Coach Chick, I'll start with you.
Yes, I tell you, I'm enjoying this here. Wow, I got my helmet on and everything. I love this here. One thing I want to ask of you, all of you, is that the young men, everybody wants to play this game, but you being that mother and you seeing it, and your son and all the things that they go through in the game, the highs and the lows, and then after the game, they see you. I want to know how do you know when it's a good game, what's a bad game? That mother love. How did you approach that? Because I've seen some mothers in my coaching. Some of them wasn't sure on how to do that when things didn't go right, and sometimes they didn't know how to handle it when it went well. But obviously, you did a great job because your son was able to make that matriculation to all those levels and end up in there. Show me, how did you communicate to them when they was playing that game and the highs and the lows? How did you go about touching them so that they stay grounded, but they continue to grow? Or how did you handle them, how to handle success, things of that nature? And from a mother's perspective, would you talk about that a little bit? Why don't you start with you? Let's go with Miss Davis, because let's start with you.
Okay, well, one of the things that I did with Anthony, he never wanted to play football, first of all. Okay. He wanted to be a basketball star.
Okay.
But I raised him by myself, so it was like he started getting big, and I was like, wait a minute, now we got to do something, because he's not going to be in here fighting me. So I said, you need to play football, because that way on that field, any aggression that he had, anybody he was mad at, he can take it out on those boys on the field.
Okay.
I was the one that inspired him to play football. But one of the things that I found out about him, because I was a booster mom and all of that, and when he was in high school playing, and we would, after the game, we'd leave, and he said, Mom, did you see how I did that play? And I was like, well, Anthony, no, I was in there cooking hot dogs. I didn't see that. So he said, you didn't see any other game? So then that let me know that he was interested in me seeing what he was doing. They just want that attention from their parents. to watch and to see what's going on. So I started watching the game, and one time he couldn't get his helmet on good. And so that's what I saw, because I made sure every time I would come out and watch and see what was going on. And when we got in the car, I said, what was wrong with your helmet? You couldn't get it on good. I mean, what, the snap was broke or whatever. You saw that? Yeah, I saw that. So that made me start watching what he was doing, so that when we got in the car, we can have that conversation.
All right.
And then when he got to Penn State, they wanted him to play offense. They wanted him to play center. And he called me and said, Mom, I want to play center. And then the next day they told me I had to play center. I said, Anthony, look, when you signed that letter of intent, it said football. It didn't say a position.
Mhm.
So I did call up there. My girlfriends that was telling me, you can't be calling the coach, telling him what your son want to play and what you should be playing him. But I called up there and talked to Joe Paterno and his son, Jay, and told them, Anthony wants to play defense. So when I went up to the school, Joe looked at me and he said, all right, I'll put him back. I'll put him back in defense. So then I told Anthony, I said, Anthony, listen, let me tell you something. I said, I done called up here and got you back on defense. I said, so now whenever you get in that game, I want to hear your name called.
Mm.
You have to show them why it is. This is the position that you want to play. Show them why you need to be playing that position and what you can do in playing that position. And I promise you, and I'm a Christian woman, every time they put Anthony in the game, tackle Anthony Adams, and I was going crazy at home. But you got to continue to talk to your children, and especially if that's something that they want to do, because you can tell them, look, if you don't do this, then you can't get in that game. You're not playing. I'm gonna tell the coach, take you out. And that was one of the reasons that I took, allowed him to go to Penn State, because I'm from Michigan. He could have went to Michigan State, or he could have went to University of Michigan. But Joe would be grounded with Anthony to give him what he needed to become who he is today.
All right. Miss Green, would you like to come on in and give us your insight?
Okay. Big Mac, we call him Big Mac. Because he big. He is a late bloomer. He didn't start playing football because he couldn't, because of his size, until he was a junior in high school. So with that, he went to JUCO, and then from there, he went to the University of Miami, played for 3 years there. And I think when he was that kid that he just played. I think he played because his friends was playing. It wasn't like, I want to play football. He was doing it because of his friends. And then how he got discovered was somebody was watching him play. He played defense because he was tall. He was 6'9" in high school, but very, very thin. And so he was a DE. And so somebody watched him play at a game, on Comcast, called a coach. He was going to school it's called DuPage College in Chicago. Well, what happened was we did everything. He was going to go there, Chicago, for JUCO school. But the coach left. Mac was like, and then Lackawanna somehow got into the play. And then they switched his position from defense in to left tackle, they said, because his knees won't hold out if you played defensive, a DE. And there he gained, like, I'm gonna say 30 pounds. And then when he went to Miami, he was ended up being 235 pounds. When he 300, what am I talking about? 200, 300.
Yeah, like, when was that? When he was born?
Right. And so in college, he didn't realize how good he was. This was our conversation every Friday. So are you starting? Yeah. Oh, okay. Are you starting this week? Yup. Oh, good. Okay. Then one day I said, you starting again? He was like, yeah. I'm like, you that good? He said, I guess. I don't know. Like, we had no clue. That's how we didn't know, But the boy never gave up a sack this whole career. That's his claim to fame. Never gave up a sack this whole career in college. But he still didn't realize his ability that he had. And it took a while till he got, I think, to the NFL for them to say, dude, like, this is your potential. Like, you know what I mean? So he had to learn. And like his coach in college said, it'll be when he get 26, he will then come into full, you know what I mean? He will be playing to his full ability because he's a late bloomer. He was a late bloomer. So I just kept encouraging. I'm like, I was like, well, you good. Like, you know what I mean? I was there. I was his support system because it was only me and him. He's the only child. I'm a single mom. So I did what I could to, help him stay grounded and stay focused.
All right. Ms. McNabb, come on in and close this question out.
I can't remember the question.
Okay.
They so good.
Just from your perspective, being a mom, just how did you prepare him, given the highs and the lows of the game, and just to do step by step a little bit of it from college?
Well, I didn't really want Donovan to play football at all because I thought it was a brutal sport. But his older brother played both sports. Sean played basketball and he played football. Sean was a tight end. And Donovan was always on the sidelines, running back and forth on the sidelines. Donovan played all sports. He played baseball. He played, everything. And he wanted to play football. So he did. He started. And I'm like, oh, they had to beg me. And, when he was in grammar school, it's like, he said, why don't you want him to play? I'm like, I don't want him to get hurt. He's not going to get hurt. I'm like, okay, we'll see. So his baseball coach was his football coach. That's the way that worked out. And he played, and I don't know, was he a quarterback, Sam?
No, he was a wide receiver and a punt returner and other things on there, yeah.
Something like that when he was in middle school kind of thing. And until he got to high school is when he played quarterback. And so
he actually played quarterback in his last year of grammar school.
Well, thank you very much, Sam. Okay. Yeah. Is this my time or your time?
Your turn.
Okay.
Anyway, I can't remember. All of us need some Prevagen or whatever that is to help your memory.
Yeah, I ran out. I use it.
So anyway, he did well. He exceptionally well in high school. He played for Mount Carmel, which was a football school. And that was another thing. I didn't know whether he should go to, they were recruiting him because they wanted him to play football, to go there. Sean went to another school, totally different school. So he got on in there and, he became the quarterback. That was a fight too. I mean, really the fans didn't want the little black boy to be the quarterback at Mount Carmel, so I was going to have to fight them every day of my life as well, every game. And he had to prove himself, and he did as he got in there and did what he needed to do. And so we were proud of him, and he listened a lot, and he was a runner. He liked to run, he could throw the ball, but he liked to run. And he did well for the school. I mean, he started all 3 years because he didn't get to be a starter until his sophomore year in high school. And he did very well to get a scholarship to go to Syracuse University out of that school. They were watching him as well. So Donovan he's been an exceptional child. He listens, he does, and he knows we got his back. We never missed a game. We were at every game, and we're there, like Michele say, waiting for him to come out. After, even though we might be fighting in the stands, when we still gonna show up at the game. We ain't scared. So Donovan did well, and we were quite proud of him.
Okay, back to you, Sam.
Okay, guys. Well, we're gonna go to the next co-host and give him a chance to ask a question. Let's go with Dr. Reed. Coach Reed, you got something you want to ask the moms?
Yes, I do, and all three of you ladies have kind of alluded to this with your last responses. But here's my question. When you knew that your son were going to be elite athletes, going to that next level, that NFL level, how did it change your role as a mother? Now, Miss Green and Miss Davis, you guys are single parents, so you probably played both roles. But if you can just give me one or two things how your role changed as a mother
I had to be, I was the coach, life coach, business manager. I was everything, house manager. Like I was rolled up in one. I was a one-man show because, oh boy, you know, soon as dollar signs hit the news, here come the phone calls. So I was gatekeeper. It was a lot. It was hard. And sometimes I was like, oh boy, is this worth it? But I had to make sure that and what I did was I had one of his best friends from kindergarten come up. He came to Minnesota and stayed there with him to help him his first year there, to get him acclimated. Because again, like I said, by him being a late bloomer, you know, my thought process was, I need you to stay in your playbook. I need you to study. So we're gonna cover this. We're gonna make sure you do what you're supposed to do. And so that was my job. That was my job. I worked for him. So I had to cover all the bases to make sure everything was good, everybody was in their place, and those who need to get out, got out. You know, I was that woman, that mom. Yes, I did what I had to do to keep peace in the valley.
Ms. Davis?
You know what? My role didn't change because Anthony has always been grounded. And I've always had like a stern fist on him because of how I wanted his life to be. He's always been a stellar student. You know, I couldn't afford private school. So his academics were so good that he was able to go to schools that for children that excel. And even his first 2 semesters at Penn State, he was on the dean's list. Right now, Anthony speaks Japanese and he writes it. But at Penn State, and he's a member of the National Society of Collegiate Scholars. And when we were trying to get agents for Anthony, they were talking about, well, we have a guy that could write his checks. And I said, no, Anthony can do that for himself. I taught Anthony how to write checks when he was young because of the fact that it was just the 2 of us. Everything I knew, I wanted him to know too. So my role hasn't changed at all. Even to this day, my role hasn't changed. And I'm still Anthony's mom. And even though he's married and he has a beautiful wife and she's a doctor, but when Anthony retired and wanted to move out of Chicago, there's 2 questions that I asked him. Did you play for the Texans or did you play for the Cowboys? And he said, no. I said, well, then you stand a better chance of being in Chicago where people know you and love you to get a better job than you would if you were to go to Texas. So I think you better stay there. And Anthony has stayed there and he has excelled in the city of Chicago. So I'm still Ma Spice. I'm still Ma. And when I see that things are not going the way that I feel that they should, I voice my opinion. Now, whether he takes it or not, that's another thing, but I'm still the same person I was from the day he was born. My role did not change. I didn't allow the money to change me because of what he was getting, because it wasn't my money. Right. So, but Anthony has always been grounded. Even, well, let me give you one story. When he got with the 49ers, that was the first team that picked him up in the 2nd round. We went to go get a car for him, and I'm picking out all these cars, Denali with the TVs and all that kind of stuff in there because I'm thinking that's what he wanted. Anthony said, Ma, I just need to get to work and back home. And he bought a used car because he said, I just need a vehicle. I don't need all of that. I said, okay. So, that's my role, and that's, I'm still mom.
Right. Mr. McNabb?
Well, I remember when Donovan was about to go into the NFL, he got drafted, and he got drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles, and everybody knows the story. you know, the booing and the whatever. But he told me that, and his dad and I we were together every step of the way, you know, with agents and picking. We had picking financial planners and attorneys, estate planners, and things of that nature. So we had done all of that work, and he got drafted. And then he told me, and I was working as well. I worked for Blue Cross Blue Shield at that time. I'm a registered nurse. I was a case manager. And so he told me, he came home and he said, well, I need you to come and help me. So I said, what am I supposed to be doing? You know, he says, I just need you to come and help me find a place and, you know, get settled. I said, so I'm gonna quit my job? And he said, yes. And so I remember this one statement he said, that he said to me, and I'll never forget it. And he said, when I eat, you eat. So that's the way it was going to be. I had to trust him. And of course, you know, Sam in agreement, that's fine. You know, you go on with him, you what have you. So we went to Philly. He got a truck and he got that big old Navigator. And I had never driven a Navigator in all my life. It was like driving a bus. And we stayed in a hotel, one of those residence inn kind of thing with, you know, while we were looking for a house for him to stay. And so sometimes we only had one truck. So he'd have to go to practice or whatever. I have to take him there and then find my way around Philadelphia, New Jersey, driving. And there was no GPS on the phone.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. I remember I did the same thing in Minnesota. Yes.
You know, look at a map. And I'm on, you know, I'm on Deptford. I'm all over the place. I'm like, Lord, just help me, Lord, drive this bus to get where I need to go. You know, so it was all new, and it was scary and difficult. You know, as we finally found some place for him to live, and you know, then he could go. Because I you know. And then Sam and his brother came and visited us. I think it was Easter or something while we were living in the hotel. It was really funny, but we managed. We managed. And just like Connie and just like Michele, I was the director of operations.
Yeah,
that was my job to be the director of operations. You know, to make sure everybody, you know, the agents and the what have you. And see, I understand when Connie did what she did. You know, she attempted to get what her son wanted. Not that it was going to work at all or not, but I'm going to try. I'm not going to try to make you, you know, I'm going to ask, since you want to play this position, I'm going to ask the coach. That's all I can do. You know, that's all I can do. So I understand that, talking to the coaches and whatever you need to do. Because I remember in high school, I had to go and tap Coach Linty on his shoulder for some stuff that I didn't appreciate that he was doing, you know. He called him out a crazy name that the kids were calling him, and he called him. Now, you grown. You call, excuse me? I said, never do that again. That is not his name. You don't call him that, all right? And so, no, you know, you better be careful when you're messing with our children. We don't play.
All right.
At all.
Well,
I'm sorry, guys. I do have to leave, and I just want to say thank you again for this opportunity. I really enjoyed it. And feel free. I'm available whenever you need me. I'm here.
Thanks, Michele.
Okay, bye.
God bless you.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
We got our co-host that we want to give a chance to ask a question to you, and that is none other than our coach, Kenneth Jennings. Coach, what question do you have for the moms?
My question was, y'all kind of alluded on a little bit. I wanted to know, what was it like for you all on draft day? You know, how was it? Y'all nervous? Was y'all a wreck? You know, how was it like?
I don't think they heard him as well, but Miss Davis, he was asking, what was it like for you ladies on draft day? The draft day, what was it like? That's what he was asking. You want to go first,
Okay.
McNabb?
Well, okay, I'll go quick, and then Connie, I remember draft day, I was a nervous wreck. It was just, it just was not fun for me. I don't know, maybe folks want it, you know, it was just too much. It was I think about 7 of us that got asked to come out there. And the agents was talking to the teams. They were trying to do a contract, and them Philadelphia Eagles was just a mess, and so when the agent would talk with them, he'd call us and come to the room and tell us where he is on every step of the way. Don would come in the room, and the agent, we had Fletcher Smith out of Chicago. That was another thing I wanted. We're from Chicago. I wanted to make sure the people we had were from Chicago as well, so that I could, like Connie, if I needed to go to your office and have a little discussion with you, I didn't have to get on a plane to go. I could just drive to your office. So, and we tried to make sure that everybody was within our realm. They looked like me, kind of thing. The people that worked for us looked like us. So we did, and it was I was like a nervous wreck, and when he got called, and you could pull that picture up online, I was like a zombie. Lord have mercy. When they finally called him, because they're going to call him, because they've already called and talked to the agent, or they talked to the son. Because you see, that's where it used to be. I don't know what they're doing now, but the team would call and talk to the player and say, I'm about to call you. I'm about to pick you. Are you ready? So you're sitting there watching them talking on the phone. Yes, yes, yes. And then they get off the phone, and then here he says, okay, I'm about to be called. We're like, oh God. So he got called number 2. He was picked first round, second pick. And that was a blessing. So it was, I don't know, everybody else might have had a little fun. I was just like a nervous wreck. So finally, when it was over, I needed to go somewhere and lay down and take a nap. Because just so much going on. It's exhausting. It's exhausting. But he was happy. We were all happy, and we were proud of he had made it where he wanted to be. What he wanted to do.
All right. Okay.
Connie.
Okay. So just like Shar said, draft day for me, I was a nervous wreck. Now, Anthony went to Penn State University, and his coach at the time, his defensive coach was Larry Johnson, who is the defensive coordinator for the Ohio State college team. University. So he wanted to be at Coach Johnson's house. He didn't want to come home. He wanted to be there with Coach Johnson because Anthony didn't grow up with his father. Coach Johnson was like a father figure to him. So was Chris Johnson, like a mother away from home. So he wanted to be at their house to do it. So we all went there. We all drove down to Penn State, and we were there. And so that day when the draft started, and they started picking all these defensive players, and Anthony was like, my stats is better than his. My stats, I know I'm about to come up soon then, because my stats, And so Anthony went from being like this on the couch to all sliding all the way down. And by the time they called him, he was on the floor, and I was on the floor with him. But and I was praying so hard. I was like, Lord, please let him go to a place that's close to home. Please let him go to a place close to home. Because I didn't like to fly at the time. I was scared to fly. I hadn't flown that much, didn't want to fly. So when I looked at the TV, I thought he had went to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I was like, yes, I can drive there. It was like, he didn't go to the Pittsburgh Steelers. He went to the San Francisco 49ers. I'm like, that's California. So Anthony, and then because of during that time, the phones weren't that good at Penn State. They didn't have that many towers there. And so, they ended up picking Anthony before he knew he had got picked, really, because they was trying to get through to him. And at one while he had stopped answering his phone because his friends was calling him, telling him, man, you gonna go before this person. I know you are, because you play better than him. But he went in the second round, and he was 57th overall picked. And I was excited. I was happy. but I was nervous and I was sad because I had to get on 2 planes to go and watch him play. So, but it was good times. We were in there shouting like we were going crazy, and that was a whole nother story because we in somebody else's house acting a fool about my son going to the NFL, which we never thought a dream that something like that could happen.
Yeah, that's good. Now, I'm going to come back and I'm going to ask you guys something that I think many viewers may want to know as well. And that is, both of you in particular have had an opportunity to enjoy the journey of being NFL moms and watching your son's career manifest and flourish. And so let's talk about the transition from the NFL to reality again. How did each of you approach that in terms of getting your sons prepared for the next phase of their life? And Sean, I'll let you go first, Sharp.
Me? So,
Yeah.
well, you have to prepare them day one of the NFL. You always have to, because you don't know how long you're going to be there. You know, they say NFL might mean not for long, and it might not be for long. So you have to prepare yourself. So we did that as far as planning financially. You have to put things away. You just can't spend haphazardly. And we did all of that. And every day, every season was a blessing that you got to play. And he played 11 seasons. And when it was all over and the last play was done and played, he was ready. He didn't have to work another day in his life if he didn't want to, but he was ready for it. And he's done many, many good things in his life. Besides, he got his wife, and we have 4 beautiful grandchildren. We're really proud of that. Donovan does sports analysts. He's done TV work. He's prepared, well prepared. He's mentoring young quarterbacks now in Arizona. He does training for them besides these appearances that he's doing. So he's quite settled in his way. I told him he's old now. So, you know, I said, you're kind of old now. You're about my age, I think. So you have to be careful. You know, he stay at the gym trying to work out, you know. So you have to prepare and make sure you prepare in the beginning.
Okay. Connie?
Okay, so Anthony has always been silly. Always. He's all in. And I say that because I always say, because he's an only child, that he's had all these little characters all his life, you know, his brothers and sisters that he's been playing with in his head. So he got all these different characters. And so when he stopped playing, because he played in the NFL for 9 years, 4 years with the 49ers and 5 years with the Bears. And he did a video about his retirement, and he got all these views on Twitter and Facebook and all these things. And he's so silly and was doing all these little skits and stuff like that. It helped him. It catapulted him into another arena where now he has Cream Bigums and What You Say Now, Chuck, and Ha Ha, and all these other things that he's doing out here. As a matter of fact, today he's he's in New York hosting D Nice's Club Quarantine. And then he did the Great American Baking Show, and even the Bears picked him up because he does Inside the Bears on Sundays, and he has a podcast with Shaq, and he has a contract with McDonald's and Mountain Dew and DraftKings and Traeger, all this other kind of stuff. And then he has 4 kids too. So there is something that he needs to be doing because he has to take care of those babies and his wife. So he transitioned really well because he took what he knew and started using it. And another thing that, you know, I just want to say this because it's so important that even though Anthony was in the NFL, I was still encouraging him to go back to school, because when he got to the NFL, he still had 1 year left of school to complete. And I encouraged him to go back because I found out that the NFL pays for you to go back to school if you get an A or a B in your class, because they don't pay for C's, but they do pay for A and B's. And it wasn't that, just like I told Anthony, if it wasn't for the fact that I knew that you are intelligent, I wouldn't encourage you to go back to school, but I know you can do it. So you need to be going back to school. And so he did. He went back to school and he got his bachelor's degree. And then I encouraged him to go back and get his master's. I said, Anthony, you know what? You need to go back to school, because when you get out of this NFL, you're going to need a job because you got kids. And so he went back and he got his master's. I've been encouraging him to get his doctorate, but I don't think that's going to happen. But he did go back because it's always been about education for me and him, because he's smart. And so I was like, don't waste that. Go on to get your degree. Go on to get this. So, you can get you a nice little job when you get out. And so his nice little job is doing all these other things that he's doing. And everybody kept saying, did you know he was this funny? He's not funny to me all the time because he always catching videos of me sleeping. So, and I don't find that to be funny at all. And somebody asked him, said, man, why you do your mother like that? Don't keep doing that. And he said, man, let's just make a pact right now that you don't do your mother like that no more. No. So, I'm in these videos and I am taking him to court. So, he'll stop. So, but he has made a nice little career for himself in doing what he has 2 million followers on Instagram and Facebook, all these other Twitter, Snapchat. I don't know what all the name of them are, but he has transitioned well for himself. And I give all the honor and the glory to God for that, because he used the tools that he had to become the person that he is today. And I thank God for it.
Well, his mom is not too bad. Tell him about your book.
Oh,
yeah, I wrote a book. It's called Don't Give Up. And it's a book about Anthony because, like I said in the beginning, he never wanted to play football. He always wanted to play basketball. So after his career was over, he developed this character called Cream Biggums. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, you never did give up on your dream about playing basketball? So he's been in these Cheez-It tournaments and other tournaments playing basketball. And he really can play, but Cream Biggums can't. And I always say, Anthony, don't do that. Come on, let him show him you know how to play for real. I don't call him Spice. I call him Anthony because that's the name I gave him. And when he was younger, I taught daycare, and the kids, none of the kids knew their name. Robert knew Bobby. Rebecca knew Becky. Stephen knew Steve. So they had all these nicknames. And I said, I promise you, I'm never giving any of my kids, which I only have one, a nickname. His name is Spice, Cream Biggums, Chuck, Double A, Spice One. He has all these different nicknames that I said that I wasn't going to give him. But anyway, I wrote the book about him playing basketball because he wanted to be this great basketball star. And so I named the book Don't Give Up because he never gave up on his dream of becoming a basketball star, which he thinks that Cream Biggums is the basketball star of the century. So I'm trying to encourage little kids, don't give up on your dream. And one of the things in the book that I talked about is how kids teased him when he was growing up because he was a big boy, and they used to call him fat back greased meat and fat back and all this other kind of stuff. And so he was outside in the backyard playing basketball with his cousins, and he came in the house crying. And I said, Anthony, what's wrong with you? He said, they're talking about me. They're calling me names. And I said, listen, because they were playing the game skins and shirts or whatever. So you take your shirt off when you're on one team and other boys had their shirts on. And he was on the team that had to take his shirt off. So when he took his shirt off, they was like, ooh, look at Anthony. So I told him, I said, listen, get back out there. Give me that shirt. Take that shirt off. Get back out there and play. Show them what you've been doing all summer in the backyard, practicing and everything. They're going to keep you on the team. they're gonna want you on there. And so he did, and he can play pretty good.
So it's a kid's book. It's a kid's book for children, right? So
Right.
And Michele wrote a book too. The name of her book is called Entitlement. So make sure you look up that book for her. Both of them are authors and book writers. So proud
And you
of them.
can go to Amazon or Barnes and Noble or JC
Yes.
Penney and find both of those books. Don't Give Up, in Michelle's book as well by Michele Green.
That's right. That's right. Very
Thank
All
you,
right.
Shar.
Okay, well, anybody else have a question they want to
Can I
ask?
ask one more question if you don't mind?
Sure.
You know, there's a lot of parents that I've been dealing with in coaching football, and everybody's not gonna make it to that NFL level. And some parents don't know how to handle that. They don't, not the kid, I'm talking the parent in handling it. Could you give them some advice as to just your insight, just to say, you know, everybody's not gonna make it. So you still have a life. What kind of advice would you give to a mom, talk to some kids? Because I've seen some moms really just couldn't handle that because they thought the kid was gonna make it. And he did make it. And now he's sitting there. So what kind of advice would you like to give to a parent if they work with their kid and they're not gonna make it? Might not be the one to make it. What would you tell them how to handle that situation? Any advice?
You know, I never wanted to be, I never thought that mine was going to make it. I didn't want to get up on the high horse and then be let down like the ones you're talking about. You know, so you just be proud of the little things that he did. And I never knew he was going to do anything until it happened. So don't be so big, you know, and you have to level yourselves. You have to stay grounded, to me. But you know, some people you just can't help them. You know, you can't help them. You know, because you know, I think you have to stay humble. That's what the preachers used to tell me all the time. Make sure, you know, Donovan, and you have to stay humble, and that's a good thing to do. You really do have to remain humble because you never know what's going to happen. The kid could get hurt, he could be injured, and that's done with a career that's done. So you never know, and you can't. You can't get in the head of the boy, of the child, because it might, you don't know where he's at. So you have to stay grounded in order to keep him grounded.
Okay.
So I would just advise them, don't just take little baby steps, because if he doesn't, then there's something else that can be done. You might have to go in another direction. Sometimes that path doesn't lead to where you want it to be. But let's just pray that we get somewhere in a good way.
Okay, Davis.
Well, my thing has always been this. I never knew that Anthony was going to be the athlete that he is.
Mm-hmm.
But my thing has always been, again, his education.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to know your child. You have to study your child. Where the Bible always says, train a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he shall not depart far from thee, which means that what you're training him at home, he's going to take it with him. But what you have to do is you have to watch that child and see what it is that they're good at, and then you hone on that. Now, athletics for me was just something for Anthony to do to feel that void of aggression that he needed. It had nothing to do with the fact that I thought he was going to be in the NFL and that he was going to get a full ride or any of that. It was just the fact that I wanted him to do something, so that he could vent if he needed to, or whatever it is that he needed to do. But when I saw that he was good at math, then, we went to a math program. It was the Math, Science, and Applied Technology program that he was in. So he was good at that. And then when he did the Japanese, I invited a Japanese student to come stay with us for a week so that, I can help him with that, because he could have did something internationally, So there's other things. You can't just hone in on one particular thing and say, this is what, I want him to do, and if it's not him, because some kids don't even want to play sports. Like he never, I don't want to play football. The first time I took him up to the game, he was mad because he had to go. Because I said, come on, no, we going up here. You go play some football. And when I took him up there, and when he got back in the car, he didn't even know he wanted to play. But when he got back in the car, he's like, Mom, we were all together like a brotherhood. And we was like, 1, 2, and then Coach, I got to come back over here tomorrow, and I can't be late, So, but you have to find out what it is that child likes to do. What does he do best? You got to find his niche and see what that is. It may not be basketball, football, baseball, it might be something else, but whatever it is, as a parent, you got to see and look at him and watch and see what he's doing. What is he good at? He could be good at technology. They make a lot of money in in technology. So you have to find out, what it is that your child likes.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Well, Coach Reed, Coach Jennings, and you guys got a last question before we let the moms go back doing what they were doing?
Yeah, I have one question, and just to be mindful of time, and I know this is going to be a little challenging for both you moms, but I've heard, your ethics and your morals, and so I'll ask you just give me one thing, but instilling ethics and morals in your children is critical, and as a parent, what part of your ethic and moral do you see in your sons today? So, Ms. Davis, if you had one thing that has grounded you, as a woman, as an independent mom, what ethic and moral do you see in your son today that kind of spearheaded from you?
His spirituality.
Okay.
That is so important, And when I see him, when his kids were born, and I remember FaceTiming him at one time, and he said, "Ma, hold on for 1 second." And he was teaching them how to pray at night before they went to bed. That, ooh.
Glory to God. Glory to God. Glory. Hey. All right.
Yes.
Yes. That's
I think we all, and I think our viewers feel exactly what you're feeling right now.
Yeah.
So you've answered that one. I appreciate it. Thank you. Mrs. McNabb.
Ooh.
I always know that I think Connie mentioned it, and I always would say Donovan would listen. And he listens with his ears. He might not do what you say, but I'm going to tell him how I feel. I'm going to tell him what I think.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not, I'm going to tell you to do the right thing. I'm going to tell you the right thing, whether you do it or you don't. It's off me. It's on you now. So he would listen, not that. And I think most of the time in the back of his head, he'd hear me on what I said. So he was a good listener. He would listen to whatever we thought when there was a situation going on. So I was proud of that. And he's always done good to people. And I've said to them, if you do good for people, good things will come to you. So Amen. I think that has worked well as well.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Well, you know what? As always, we always end up having a great show, and it seems like it goes by so fast. But I just want to take a minute to thank both of our guests, Mrs. Davis and my wife, Wilma McNabb, for coming on and just giving us an opportunity to hear from you guys and your perspective on different things that were of interest to us. And so just want to say, we don't want you to be a stranger to the Chicago Coaches Corner. We want to sometime in the future have you guys come back and do this, because I think for all of us, we all feel that this was quite informative and exciting and entertaining. So again, thank you so much. And I'll give each one of my co-hosts an opportunity to sign off a little bit, summarize and sign off. And so I'll go with Coach Chick.
Hey, first and foremost, thank you. And I got to tell you, I know one thing. He was in the house with us tonight. Hallelujah. I mean, it was an honor and a pleasure to be with you and what you're giving, and know that it is definitely going to touch. 1 in the 99, but it's touching. Believe me, somebody's going to grab and go walk in it and walk it on out. One planted, one water, and he definitely gets the increase. So I really thank you for your time. And I'm going to give it over to Coach Dr. Reed and let him sum up his summation. But thank you and love you with the love of the Lord.
Amen.
Well, thank you, ladies. You know, just you were so genuine, and you were yourselves, and that was really a blessing, and just beautiful to see. You know, your personalities. Mrs. McNabb, you know, I see you guys. I follow you on Facebook, but to be now to have an opportunity to see your personality, and both of you are just outstanding moms, I can tell, and obviously that is portrayed with what your sons have done as professional athletes. So I appreciate you being a part again of the Chicago Coaches Corner. Thank you so much.
And you know, my hashtag, I'm just gonna say, you know, my girls, they wrote books. I have a CD out, and it's EP CD, and it's called When Your Heart Is on the Field. So make sure you download and listen to some of my songs.
We'll do that. Thank you.
Very good.
Sure.
Okay.
And I want to give out my Instagram. My Spice is my Instagram, and Constance Davis is my Facebook.
All right.
My Spice and okay. All right.
All right.
All right.
Janice, you got anything?
I think Kenneth might not be with us now because he was en route.
Oh, I thought so.
He was en route. He was en route when he was on his way. He's going home from a doctor's appointment. But he wanted to be on the show. That's Kenneth Jennings.
Yes.
Yeah, he wanted to be on the show. But again, fantastic. But as we say, if you want me to, McNabb, with our usual saying at the end of the show, look here, we want to say this, and we say this to our listeners all the time. It's an honor to have you, and know this here, Chicago Coaches Corner, we are not about box scores. We're about life scores.
Amen.
And yes, teamwork does make the dream work.
Teamwork.
Amen.
All right.
And God bless you. Hallelujah.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you all.